Hello everyone, welcome to your English class. My name is Jasmin and I'm here to assist you with your English lesson. Before I begin today's session, let me ask, have you ever been to a big city? All of us are fascinated with the life in a city. It is maybe because a city has so many things to offer us, new opportunities, and most importantly, a better standard of living. This is the dream that anyone has who migrate to a city, be it a new entrepreneur, a mechanic, or anyone. But do you think all of them will be successful in chasing their dreams? Sadly, no. So what about those who fail? Most of them ends up finding a shelter and settle in large groups in the outskirts of the city. And this is how slums are made. And they have to compromise on everything, health, wealth, and everything. So today we are getting a chance to have a closer look at their life, especially that of children. We are going to begin our lesson, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum, which is written by Stephen Spender. Stephen Spender is an English poet and essayist, and he had a keen interest in politics. He declared himself as a socialist. And in this particular poem also you can see some of the elements of socialism being discussed. And the central theme of this poem is class inequalities and social injustice. Now let's read and understand the poem. An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. So you can see the entire poem has been divided into 4 stanzas. We will go stanza wise. So let's begin with the first stanza. Far, far from the gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky hair of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled decease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So in the first stanza, you can see how the poet is introducing a classroom and students sitting inside. One by one, he is presenting each character before us. In the initial line, the poet tells that the students, they are far away from the mainstream society, those who are privileged. And one by one, he is describing each child who is sitting inside the classroom. The first child, who is a very tall girl, she's sitting inside the classroom with a weighed down head. Maybe because of the harsh realities that she has faced in life. Due to that, she's feeling really insecure about life. And the second person or second child the poet is describing is a very thin boy, just like a paper. So you can see how malnourished the child is. And he is also described as he has rat's eye. Have you seen a rat's eye? What is the main feature of rat's eye? It is like it is frightened about something. So the same way the boy also feels really frightened, maybe because of the insecurities that he is facing. And the next character is a stunted boy. And instead of reciting his lesson from the desk, he is reciting a disease because he is suffering from a disability which he inherited from his father. And finally, the poet presents before us the only person or the only child with some hope is a young boy. Compared to the other students who are sitting inside the class, he is younger. And he is sitting at the corner of the classroom and he is not engaged in the class. Instead, he is thinking about how he can go beyond the 4 walls of the classroom. He is dreaming about how he can move around just like a squirrel. Now let's move on to the second stanza. Stanza 2. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belled flowery Talus valley, open-handed mape, awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. In the stanza, you can see how the poet is describing the interior of the classroom. In the initial line of the second stanza, you can see how the walls are dirty and not been kept tidy for a very long time. So that he is comparing the color of the wall as sour cream, which is dirty. And usually when such schools, they face some difficulties, financial difficulties, crisis, usually there will be persons or institutions who will be giving them donations. Here also they have received so many donations, but not as money. Instead, they have got some beautiful pictures inside the classroom. So further, you can see how the poet is describing one by one what are their donations. The first one is a portrait of the great dramatist William Shakespeare with a background of a clear and cloudless sky. The second one is a beautiful building with a dome. And the third one is a picture of the tireless valley. And finally, they have the world map. Here the poet is trying to convey that the world which belongs to these children and the world which is portrayed on the walls are entirely different. For them, their sky is not as beautiful as the pictures which is there inside the classroom. Their sky and their atmosphere is dull and dim. Their life is congested in the dingy classrooms and the dingy slums. And finally, the poet tells that they are far away from the geographical beauties of nature. They are far away from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Here, stars of words means education. So they are not only far away from all the geographical benefits, but also they are away from education. Now let's move on to the third stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map a bad example, with ships and sun and love, tempting them to steal for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. In the stanza, you can see how the poet is angry about the injustice done against him. He feels that instead of helping them financially, people are donating such beautiful pictures which they have hung inside the classroom. Because whenever they see such pictures, they will feel like how unprivileged they are. Instead of giving them a positive thought, these pictures will influence them in a very bad manner, the poet believes. It will tempt them in order to steal away things from others. And further, you can see how the poet is telling they're compromising in life for everything. They are not able to buy the very essential things like spectacles. So you can see children, they are using spectacles which is mended several times. And in the line you can see with mended glass like bottle bits on stones depicts this situation. And finally in the stanza you can see how the poet is telling them, announcing them to blot the map so that the world will know their existence inside the slum. He is asking them to blot the map, showing or proclaiming the world that we exist in this map as well. Now let's move on to the final stanza, stanza 4. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their life like catacombs, break, open till they break the town, and show the children to green fields, make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books. The white and green leaves, open history theirs, whose language is the sun. In this final stanza, you can see how the poet is angry about the authorities who are there and who have seen their agony and was not doing anything for them. So he's telling that unless or until the authorities come forward and do something for them, their situation will never ever change. So he's telling that the authorities like governor, inspector, visitors, they should come forward so that the slum children can have their world just the same as the pictures depict inside the classroom. Their world will also be as beautiful as those pictures which is hung inside their classroom. And further, you can see the poet tells that now their life is just like they're living in underground cemeteries. They are not known by anybody. Their life simply starts there and ends there. Nobody knows their existence. Further, you can see how he is declaring to the slum children to break the walls of their slum and come out so that they can go beyond the walls and enjoy the beauty of nature, so that they can also achieve so many things and they can also be winners and create history. And finally, you can see how he is declaring them to go beyond the walls and enjoy the beauty of nature and run azure, and also to read so that their language becomes as powerful as sun, which is the source of all the energy. Thus, the poem comes to an end with a very positive hope that one day these children will be able to break the walls and go beyond the walls and enjoy the beauty of nature and create history. So that's the end of this poem. We will meet next time with another interesting work. Thank you.